Hi guys, Luton here, back with some more Naval Strike, and here we are on Wavebreaker. Now this is one of the most interesting maps for me so far in the DLC, and you'll see why. It's the naval base, the submarine base, and this rocky island here in the centre contains that submarine base. The hangar doors we can see coming in here, and the internal structure of this island is very interesting. You've obviously got the three main cap points within the centre here, and then a couple of satellites north and south of the island. And Level coming in here. Now I've got to say a big thanks to Level Cap yet again for letting me have this footage to use. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't have anything to show you guys, so massive thanks to Level Cap for that. Now here we come into the main dry dock area. Here's the submarine. A lot of infrastructure around here, a lot of gangways, metalwork, containers and so on and so on. A lot of areas here to hide and get in, so there's going to be some really good close quarter action. And as I've said throughout the DLC, from what I've seen, they seem to have balanced fairly well the need for actual infantry play and the kind of boat play. And you know, although in my first video I alluded to the fact that this could be kind of somewhat of an oceanic water-based armoured kill, actually what I think they've done is better, because they've constructed environments so far which are large enough to house entire infantry gameplay sections, as well as providing large open fast moving areas that need to be controlled and attacked from a actual naval point of view. So far from what I can see, as I say, I'm kind of impressed that those two boxes have been ticked, so you've got the good gun gameplay and the vehicle gameplay. And I think with Armoured Kill that was lacking somewhat. I think it didn't have so much, and in a minute here you're going to see this actual submarine come crashing down. We see the Levolution on this map. But yeah, as I say, it'll be interesting to actually get hands-on live with the game and see how that plays out, see if I'm right that they have got a nice balance. And there we go, see the whole thing coming down. You don't want to be under that thing when that comes crashing down. I love how it actually rolls over there as well, look at that. And I like the fact that it doesn't just come down dead on the floor, bam, it actually moves, rotates, rolls, so you actually have that kind of feeling of it being a live object rather than just a sort of block that's dropped down. Right, here we are, come back right out to the outside again, and here we are over the sub base as a whole. You can see here a lot of small little islands. These are of course the wave breakers in the description itself. A lot of small little rocks here breaking those waves around, and you can see that this right here is one of the cap points. We've got one here, one at the other end. Interesting that it's actually the rock area there, so you can actually kind of fly into these bases, or you know, get the boats coming in. So it's not directly on a kind of helipad base, it's like a small little section over there amongst the rocks. I actually kind of like this layout. This map as well, I really like the look of. It feels very kind of interesting and kind of individual. Love these little, see these little bits right here? This is going to be a great map for like rib boats, jet skis and all the likes like that. You're going to be able to nip in and out and around these rocks, and I can imagine, as you'll see, you get some great obliteration gameplay, things like that. And then as we see, this is obviously on carrier assault. Coming down here to the other bases is a sea base. Look at this, we've got a whole island right here. Okay, massive area of combat. So again, I think, you know, I really think that this DLC is going to play for the 64. I think the 64 is going to work really well because there is enough interest and kind of variation amongst the maps to actually occupy and keep those kind of people playing. So I'll be very interested to see how that 64 goes down. Now here, this is another one of the bases that's outside. This is one of the three sections running across the actual island itself. This is one of the ones on the outside, and you obviously have the internal bases as well. But the internal naval base seems fairly complicated. I think if you're moving in a certain direction it won't be a problem, but it does seem like you're going to have to spend a little bit of time learning some of these routes, learning some of the ways in and out if you want to actually combat the enemy, and you don't want to get caught out by campers, people lying down prone, defending bottleneck doorways and so on and so on. So we're going to be moving into some live gameplay in a sec. This is still the kind of exploration section of this map, and you can see the missile launchers here for the carrier assault firing off across to the carrier there. That's one of the things that really adds to the dynamic of this map, are these launchers all around the place. It really kind of just has that look and feel to it of actual sort of, you know, warfare combat going on. It's just a nice set piece that fits well within the Naval Strike DLC. But I think that this map will play out well. Here we are on Obliteration game mode now. I think this is probably one of the better game modes for this. I can imagine normal conquest working totally fine as well. But I think definitely that. I'll be very interested to see whether they actually had rush set up for this map and how that would play out indeed. I think obviously the domination would work really well. I can imagine domination you may have as like an internal fight, but I'll be intrigued to see how that one plays out. These larger boats have a bit of a hard time navigating, by the way. I mean, When you're in the big open sea areas, that's fine, but trying to sort of dodge and weave in between these kind of breaker rocks, it's a little bit more of a difficult thing. And obviously the heavy attack boats as well, look, there we are, we're sort of taking some massive hits. The heavy attack boats in these kind of close quarter environments are putting themselves at a pretty big risk from like anything really, missile launchers, C4, slams, it's all going to be going on there. Here we are getting rammed coming out through the door right here, getting a little caught. And pushing off towards some of these other objectives. See, these big boats, they don't turn so well, and they have a very, very narrow, there we go, very, very narrow area to actually thread through. I think this is going to be a hard time for people trying to sort of navigate through and actually find the route on these things. Yet again, as I say, one of the reasons why I think actually having the... Oh, look at that dive bomb attack there from the attack. Didn't expect that one coming in right there. Come on, bust him down. But yeah, I think that's why the kind of jet skis, ribs, etc., they're going to have a more successful time actually on this map than the larger boats, because they're going to be able to bob and weave and get out of line of sight, and they can push a lot faster through these little sections right here. Okay, so then having concluded that, we're moving back into this submarine base right here. And again, the big boats having a hard time pushing through here. This map is very fragmented in terms of its geography. There's a lot of just these sort of breaker rocks all over the place, close and far away from the base itself. But I'm going to be interested to see the kind of balance of gameplay in this one. How much is actually going to happen within the hangar itself? How much is going to happen outside? I think it's good that you have that option in the cover as well. You can imagine that if you're playing against a team which has that kind of external sort of air superiority, for example, you may want to try and focus on the bases that are around here. Because remember as well, those other bases, they can cap from outside, but they, you really only have to be just outside of the actual sort of hangar bay here in order to cap those. So we could totally see some situations where if the other team are controlling from the outside, you can control and win the game from the inside. And these cheeky helicopters coming in on this. And I think that's not going to be the first or last time you see helicopters actually trying to get into the bases on this map. There's going to be a lot of that sort of flying into the hangar. But honestly, it's a dangerous thing to do. A quick RPG or small, and they're going to be straight down on the ground. And I think that's definitely going to be happening. A good example here of how you can get caught in these tunnels. I mean, when you're in these tunnels, you don't have a lot of space to move, and if you've got people laying down the fire on you, it's going to make it very, very hard to kind of break out there in any kind of constructive way. Right, here I'm back on Obliteration. Level's got the bomb, and he's making a rush for the jet ski here, like we were saying before. Get the fast moving boats on the go. Here we go, power it out of here. Now we're heading off to the B objective here. Again, look, dodging through the wave breaking little bits right here. A lot easier on the jet ski than it would be with the major large boat. Going in, drop him down, get the objective armed. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And the arming stuff. Heli's coming in by the feel of it. And although this map has got a lot of internal combat going on within that main submarine base hangar area, I think there's going to be a lot to play outside. You can see from the helicopter coming in here, especially depending on the game mode that you're playing, then there's going to be plenty happening outside as well as in. And if you have a good helicopter team, if you can maintain that air superiority, I think it's going to be a big advantage for transporting bombs and Obliteration, for keeping people suppressed when they're trying to cap bases. There's a lot of good reason to kind of maintain the external area. And from that top-down map there, you can see just how many of these kind of wave-breaking small rock islands there are. It's just making life real hard for the boats. They can't zoom around all over the place unless you've got some guys who are really awake and on the ball. But as I've said before, the kind of look and feel of the DLC it's very akin. They've tried to keep that kind of consistency going on throughout. But I think, they have saved it back again by adding these kind of elements of interest, like the internal sections of this base. It's just another thing that kind of adds a little sort of cherry to the kind of overall feel of this release right here. But I think it would only make sense to obviously say, when the DLC comes out, let's see how things are at that stage. Let's see how people play on these rounds. Let's see how populated they are. I mean, always when you're late in with the DLC, you have to see sort of how many people are actually going to get in the mix, get on the DLC, play it hard. So we'll have to wait and see. But, things have been good. With Second Assault, it's been good. Okay, with the China Rising, it's been good. So there's been quite a few things going on there that people have clearly enjoyed and really got to grips with. And I think this one will. I think this will appeal to people. I remember very much with Bad Company 2 sort of saying, you know, I wish we had more naval options. I wish that was something we had in the game. So this is actually something that I have been kind of waiting and looking forward to for a long time. And it's really good that they've kind of really gone to town and pushed it as hard as they can in terms of how this gameplay goes. And that's one major reason why I'm really looking forward to it. It's just nice to have something a little bit different, and the kind of the oceanic water-based combat, it definitely has that. Somebody's stolen Level Cap's boat here by taking his space, something that never happens before in Battlefield 4. And they're taking the bomb with them. Off they go to get the final bomb target. Something to note as well, of course, the blast doors can be closed on the hangar. Again, not sure how much necessary impact that's going to have, but let's say, for example, you're trying to, you know, escape some enemy. You make a big push down one of these avenues here in the boat, only to find that the hangar door is closed. Those RPGs, they're coming up close on you behind, they're coming fast, you can't get out of there. It's going to be a stressful situation. I think some of those boats or helicopters that come flying in here are going to find themselves in a real world of hurt if they take the wrong route and the doors get closed. Again, if you have defending teams or perhaps even a kill team just working around in these hangar bays, that's going to be a tactic you can want to use there. Close those hangar doors down and shut them. Now at the end here we can just see how to trigger the Levolution. Pretty straightforward really. Just get the explosives on those struts and take them down. And look at this. It goes easy as hell. That's all there is to it. You just got to weaken those struts and the thing will go down. So there we go, guys. Wavebreaker, what do you think? It's probably one of, as I say, the more interesting elements of the DLC itself, but what do you think? Are you looking forward to this one? Are you looking forward to the Naval Strike DLC? And what do you expect to get out of it? As always, guys, if you enjoyed, drop a little thumbs up. Always really helps me out. And I'll see you next time for a little bit more Naval Strike on Battlefield 4.